So this is the part 2 of what we did in our last class, right? We're still looking at databases, okay? And we're using February, March 2023 as a base to further deepen our understanding on this. So I'm just going to open the question. Okay, so I have this, right? So this is where we stopped. We were talking about the CXV, and then we talked about that it is a delimiter data format where each field or column is separated with what? A comma, right? So very important. And then I think we're able to take screenshots. We're able to take screenshots as much as possible. Now let's check if we took the screenshot. Did we take? Let's check if we took the screenshot. Yes, I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. Let's check. Yes. So we took one of the screenshots here, and so now we get to continue from that. Okay. So we're going to import the file. The first thing I have to do is to open my database. Okay. And don't forget to enable content. Very important. Don't forget to enable content. Okay. That's if you have it here, just enable content. All right. So what I will do here is I'm just going to move this here so it's easy for me. Import the file m23houses.csv as a new table in your database. Now, take note that this, at default, when we are importing this, it's you will have an option where you have to import it as what? A new table. Take note. You have an option where you have to import this what? As a new table in your database. Very, very important. Okay. So now we have to set this as what? The primary key. We talked about primary key. What's primary key? Primary key is to what? Hold what? Unique data. Very, very important. So we have to set this as what? The primary key. Then let's do that. So what I'll do here, remember, looking at the question, this is what? A CXV. Okay. So this is going to be an external data and a text file. So external data, of course, new data source. Which source are you getting it from? You're getting from file, and you're getting from text file. And then we'll get to browse. Okay. So we'll get to browse. And go here. Okay. Houses, M23 houses. I'm going to click open. And then remember, this is the option. At default, is going to select this option for you, which is what? Importing the source data into a new table in the current database. So we have it right there in the database. So it's going to be seen as what? A new table. You don't append it, right? You don't append it. So you're importing it as a new table, which is what the question is saying. So we're going to do that. So we'll click on OK. Remember, we've talked about the reason why it's delimited, because it is separating the characters or fields, right, with a comma, right? Each of them is separated by a comma. So I'm going to click on next. And then because it is seen it as a comma, okay, it is going to put them into different columns. It's going to separate them into different columns. Very important. It's going to separate them into different what? Columns. And then I'm going to check the first row contain what? Field names. Okay, the first row contain field names, because if we don't check this, it's going to assign the first row with a default field name, which is feed 1, feed 2, feed 3, feed 4, etc., etc. And we don't want that. So I'm going to click on next. Are we skipping any field? Or are we skipping any field? Are we not importing any field? So we are importing everything. If you are going to skip, they are going to say it in the question. It's going to be there in the step. Okay, so let's take note of that. So I'm going to click on next. So I'm just going to go to advanced here just to check. Remember, the codes page here is what? Western European Windows. And we explain the reason why it is, because that simply means Windows operating system. Okay, the Windows operating system. All right, I'm going to click on OK. The next thing I want to talk about is the primary key, the house code. That simply means I'm going to choose my own primary key. I'm going to choose it, house code, click on next, and then click on finish. Remember, if it imports it as a to table, then there's an error somewhere. So take note of that. So I'm going to open this. This view is what we call the datasheet view. Okay, this view right here, click here to select both the fields and records. Double click to ensure that everything is showing properly. So this view is called what? The datasheet view. So I'm going to save and I'll close. Examine the file M23 staff to identify the most appropriate field to use as a primary key. Okay. Now, when we talk about examine, more or less, and more importantly, they're telling you to open this file. Of course, we're going to open it in Excel, and then we need to examine which is it. Okay. So I'm just going to click and select the columns and row, then double click. Don't forget, you don't need to do it. You can just watch what I'm doing. Okay. Now, we will look at it to identify the primary key, okay, or the most appropriate primary key. Take note that names are not primary keys. It's not a good way of identifying or attributing primary keys to it. Okay, we don't use names, we don't use currency, we don't use price field, we don't use date fields, we don't use anything that would entail that the field is having the same thing. For teacher's name, of course, we can have teachers bearing the same name. For subject, yes, we can have the same subject. Two learners having the same subject. It's very possible. Roles, even for roles for staff, there are staffs that could be different staffs that can be teaching the same subject. ICT, we have 3 teachers who are taking ICT. Okay, we can have roles. Roles, there are so many people who can be assigned the same role. But when it comes to the class codes are usually unique. Why? Because for every teacher, there is a code given. So no two teachers can have the same code. Okay, very, very important. So we're going to use this to identify the primary key. This is one way to identify your primary keys. I'm not going to save this, so I'm going to click don't save. Another way to identify your primary keys is more or less like a cheat code. It's more or less like a cheat code. So what do I do? So I'm going to scroll down to where we want to create the relationship. Okay, so here, most time, they give you a hint, okay? They give you a hint of where you can get it in a relationship, okay? But in this case, they said primary key field of the staff table and the class code of what? The test table, okay? So we have the class, let me see. Come in, let me see this. Registration code. So this is for test. Okay, so now you can see that this is another cheat code that you can use to actually know how to do. Now here, this is seen as what? The foreign key. Okay, so it simply means that if the primary key here is the class code and the class code of the test table is seen as the foreign key, then that becomes one-to-many. So this is more or less like one way to just know how to go about identifying the primary key. But knowing what primary key is would aid you in identifying the field. Okay, very important. Okay, so I'm going to click on external data, new data source, from file, text file. And of course, we're importing this as a new table, but we have to browse it. Then we have the staff. Okay. Open. Then click on OK. Now, if this place is grayed out, it simply means that you have not what? You have not browsed the CSV that you want to import. So that's one way to let you know. Okay. So, okay. We've talked about delimited. Next. And of course, it's going to give you a comma. And then the first row contains what? Feed names. Next. We're not skipping anything. Of course, we're importing this as a new table. We've talked about it. Next. Then I'm going to click on advanced here. The code page is going to be Windows. Okay, of course, because this is a Windows operating system. Date order is DMY. Please take note of that. I'm going to click on what? Okay, think everything is fine. They didn't ask us to modify the data type, so everything is fine. Click on OK. Choose my primary key, the class code. Next. Then finish. Then close. Here for the staff, click here to select all. Then right here, the whole idea why we do this, is so that every field can be shown clearly. So I'm going to save and then close. Place in your evidence document, screenshot evidence showing the field names, data types, and primary key used in each table. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, Mr. Ajiro.
All right, so place in your evidence document screenshot showing the field names, comma, data types, and the primary key used in each table. So let's see how we can do this. Now we've taken the other one, so this is going to be step 19. So let's do that. So for the staff, I'm taking the staff first. I'm going to switch to the design view. Okay, so this is the design view. Please take note, this view is the design view, and this is where you take your screenshot whenever they tell you that place your evidence document screenshot showing your evidence document screenshot evidence showing the field names, data types, and the primary key fields. Okay, primary key used in each table. Now, this is your field name, data type, this is the primary key. Okay, and of course, you have to include the table name. Very important. Okay, very, very important, because the examiner wants to see the table name evidence as well. So it's very important. So let's take the screenshot. So I'm going to use the snipping tool to do this. You can open. I'm going to take my screenshot, right? Which is your Windows, Shift, and then S. So new, and I'll take my screenshot here. Okay. So I'm going to look for evidence step 19. So this is step 19 here, and evidence 6. Okay. So I'll hit on enter, and then Control V. If you want to do Control V, and then or you paste, whichever one you want to do is fine. Okay. Picture format. I'll just make it 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters is fine. Okay, the next one, hit space. Okay, give space between them. You can close this, then open the houses, right click, design view, and I'm going to take this. Okay, what you need to take for the one we took was for, let me see. Okay, we took for staff. So hit on enter. So I'm going to take for housing now, right? Just want to follow the structure of the question. So I'm going to take for housing, and I'm going to click on new. Okay, and I'm going to paste this here. Right click, and then just paste this, right? So just keep the formatting, picture format, just make this 10 centimeters. Okay, so I have for houses, and I have for staff. So these are the evidence showing the field names, data type, primary key for each table. Okay, very important. So I've done that. Step 20. Okay, I can close this and then save my evidence. So edit the following records in the test table. So let's edit the following records in the test table. So I'm going to open the test table. Of course, this is the table is one of the database objects, so please take note of that. I'm going to open the test table. Done that already. Okay. So remember how to know your numbers of records. Very important. So this is 176. Total number of record is 176. This is where you go to the very first record. So if I'm here already, which is the first record, this is the first. This is where it takes you to previous. You can't go to previous again. This is your next. This is your last. This is where we click on a blank document for new records. So take note. So what we are doing right now is we want to edit. So this has the registration code. So I'm just going to copy this registration code. So what I'll do now, I'll need to find. You can find a particular field or you can find the whole table. So you're going to click on home. Let me do that. Let me pin this here. Home. And then right here, you come to find. Okay, so find here. I'm just going to paste this. Now this is going to look for in the what? Look in the current field or the current document. Okay, so I'll do current document. Next, current document on the right is going to look through all the fields. Okay, so that's another way. Another way you can do that is you can actually select the field right here, and then you can change to what current field.
Excuse me, sir.
Current
Can you
field.
repeat what you're doing?
Okay, now the step says that edit the following record in the test table. Now, for us to be able to edit this is what we want to edit, right? We want to change the class code from 6B to 6T. Now, to do this, we have to use this, the registration code, to find it. So I'm going to copy the registration code or type in whichever one. I'm just going to copy it since it's an electronic copy. And then right here, there are two ways to find. Okay, if we're going to find it, now we can just select the first field. Okay, select the first field, which is the registration code in the question, click on find, and then we can paste it. And then you look at it, it's going to show look in what? The current field. So I'm going to click find, and then I'll have it, right? It's going to find it. I can do find next again to be sure that it is the only registration code that is there. That's one way. If you don't want to go through that route, you can just do, you know what, I'm just going to search the whole thing. I don't want to stress myself. Okay, so you can come here to find, then change the looking to what? Current document. Change the looking to current document and then click on find next. So it's going to just go through the whole field and find what you're looking for. So in this case, I have it here, and which is the only record here. So this is what I have. Now, the next thing is they said class code change from 6B to 6T. So the class code is right here. So I'm going to change this from what? 6B to what? 6T. Right? So this is the registration code that we give it. I think we need to change from 6B to 6T. And then we've done that. Done. Of course, we can save the table. Okay. All right. So the next one is step 21. Create one-to-many relationship between the primary key field of the staff table and the class code of what the test table. So let's create the relationship. It's always advisable to close your tables. So I'm going to close the table. Okay. Then I'm going to go to right here is your menu tabs. I'm going to go to database tools and then relationships. Okay. So now I have the table. Your table can be here. It can also be here, whichever one it is. Okay. So now there are so many ways to just import this to our relationship section. Okay. So what we can do is we can just click on the first one, hold our shift, and you're going to click on the last one and you select all of them. Or you can click on the first one, hold your control and select them manually. And then you click on add selected tables. If you don't want to do that, you can just, on the first one, just double click on the first one, it goes there. Double click on the second one, it goes there. double click on the third one. So whichever method you want to use is fine. So right here, I'm just going to double click so that all the fields are properly showing. So I have primary key field of the staff table, okay, with that of what? The class code of the test table. You can see this is the primary key, this is the foreign key. So I'm going to drag this here to here. That's how you create the relationship. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to drag this here, the class code, which is the primary key field of the staff table, toward the class code of the test table. Now, just in case you make an error or you don't get it right, you can always toggle from the list of options you're given. You can always choose the field, okay, that you need to do. For example, if I did class code, I don't do anything, right? I can come here to say, okay, you know what? Is class code. Can you see that? It's class code I want to do, and which is still the same thing. And then I can click on what? Create. Okay, so now that we've been able to create it, that's the first thing. The second thing is that the primary key field of the house table and the house code field of the test table. So the primary key field of the house, so we have this here. I'm just going to move this here. Move this here. So I have this here. I have this here. So I have the primary key field here of the house code of the house table is the house code. I'm going to move it there to what? The house code of the test table. And then right here, now look at the relationship type. It's creating what? A one-to-many. So I'm going to click on what? Create. Okay, so we have this. So we have the primary key field of the house table and the house code of the test
Please, I'm a
table.
bit confused. Can you redo it again?
Now, in the question, they said the primary key field of the staff table and the class code of the test table. The primary key field here is what? The class code. So we have to create a relationship between this, which is now the primary key, to this, which is now what? The foreign key. Okay? And the primary key of the house table, which is the house code, okay, which is the primary key here. And we're going to create a relationship with this, which is what? The foreign key here. So this simply means that right here, for the class code in the staff, we need to drag this from here, drag this here to create the relationship. But like I said, even if you make a mistake, right? Even if you make a mistake, you can always change it. This is your table, okay? This is the table here. You can always change the fields to which one you want to create a relationship with, okay? Very, very important. You can always do that, okay? Very important. And for the house code, in the houses table, you can drag this here to here, and you're going to have this, okay, where you now see the primary key here with the foreign key here, and then you can create it. Hope that makes sense. So once we have done that, if we go to our staff table, you see that it has what? Been created. If you go to our house table, you will see that what? It has been what? Created. For the housing, these are the tests that was took for the staff. This is also what has been taken. Okay, so I'm going to close this. So that plus signifies that the relationship has what? Been created. So let's take note. Place in your evidence document screenshot showing the one-to-many relationships between the tables. So they want to see proof that you actually created the relationship, because they're not going to go with your laptop, right? So your evidence document is proof that you actually created what? The relationship. So let's do that. So to do this, I'm going to go to my database tools, relationship. Now for each of them, I'll click on the line and then click edit relationship. And then I'll take this screenshot to signify, because what they want to see is this. showing the one-to-many relationship between the tables. They want to see edit relationship, and they want to see the relationship type. This is what your examiners want to see. And this is the only screenshot that you need to take, okay? So I'm going to click on new. And I'll take this. Okay? And I'll click on OK. What step is this? Step 21. Just enter, hit on enter, and then paste this. Right click and then paste with formatting. Picture format. It's fine here. Okay. And then I'll hit on, just want to take this off. It's fine like this. Just want to just be perfect. Hit on enter. Okay. So I have this. So now the next one is, we've taken that for the house, for the staff rather. Then let's take for this. So I'm going to click on the line, hit on edit relationship, and I'll take my screenshot. Okay. Click on OK. And then I'm going to paste this. Right click and then paste with formatting. Okay. Okay, just format. Just copy it a bit. It's still fine. Just okay, so it's important. They want to see the screenshot that has been taken as proof that the relationship has been created for the staff and test and houses and test respectively. So I can save this. And then I can close this. Step 22. This is the hallmark of database. This is the hallmark. This is where the work actually is. Using fields from all tables, produce a tabular report. When they say using fields from all tables, they simply means across the 3 tables. Right? They simply means across what? The 3 tables. Okay? For you to produce a report, you have to first of all produce what? A query. And we'll talk about a query. A query simply means fetching or extracting data from the table. Okay? So you are fetching or you are extracting data. Okay? Fetching what? Data from what? The table. Very important, or database, right? Now, which is now your query? This is where the problem is. Knowing, so I'm going to use yellow for my query and then pink for my report. So here, using colors will help. So this is what a query. One. And also we need to use this. We need to use this also for our query. Here, we need the fields to be able to query what we want in order for us to produce our report. So these 2 right here are query. The rest is from here, right here, is what? Your report. Yeah, this color is good. Using colors to simplify the whole thing is better. So now you now know which is query, which is report. When they tell you to produce a tabular report, you are not to produce a report immediately. This is one of the drawbacks of learners when it comes to database. They just look at the question, produce a tabular report, and they immediately start producing report. That's a terrible way of doing it. It's a lot of stress, and you end up having wrong values and so many pages, and then you lose so many marks. Please, this is very, very important. Okay. Okay, so now we know which is query. Now we know which is what? Report. So let's do this. So now there are two ways in which you can actually create your query, okay? But since this is a beginner's guide, we can use the query wizard, okay? We can use the query wizard. We can also use the query design, whichever one you can use to create your query wizard or your query design. They fall under the query section, okay? So for beginner's guide, we're going to use query wizard, and over time we're going to switch to query design, okay? So on the query wizard, we have a simple query wizard. Okay, simple query wizard. I'm going to click on OK. Okay, then we have the available fields and we have selected field. We need to move this from the available field toward the selected field. Now to do this, we're going to use show only this field. These are the fields that should display in your query and report respectively. Family name. I think that's test. Okay, so you can click on it. Now, I want to explain what this arrow means. This is to move them one at a time. This is to move everything. Let me show you. Move everything, and then I can bring them back. See that? Okay, why this is to move them one at a time. Okay, so here I have what family name. Click on it, and then click here to bring it to the selected field. Okay, the next one is gender. Gender here, move this. The next one is teacher's name. Teacher's name is not here, so we have staff. So now another way to do this is you can just double click. That's another way to move it. So we are progressing in the series. So you can double click on it. We have science, so that's test. You can just right here click on it, move it. We have maths, okay, move on it. We have computer science, just double click. Okay, design technology, double click. Still the same thing, whichever method that feels comfortable for you. House name, that's for house. House name, and then what do we have? Class code. Class code. Okay. Okay. So just to do a glance through, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So we have, let's check. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's correct. So I'm going to click on next. Details, right? We want a detail. We don't really want a summary. So we want a detail, right? Detail here, not a summary. So know the difference. We want detail. So it shows every field of every record. Next. And again, remember, your title of your query should also be the title of your report. Okay, whatever title you give to the report, which is right here stated in the question, you should also give that to what? The query. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this. Since this is an copy, they said include the title displayed in larger font. So this becomes the title of the report. And I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to control backspace to remove them one at a time, and then Ctrl V. Okay. Now open the query to view information, modify the query. Okay, so I'm just going to open the query in datasheet view. So I'm going to click on finish. So it's going to open this in datasheet view. I'm going to click here and then double click to see if anything is still okay. Everything is fine. So I'm just going to save. So we have done the first query. Okay. Now the second query here is we are going to run this criteria. Okay, we're going to run this criteria.
Mr. Ajiro, for the query, are we supposed to choose detail or summary?
Detail. You have to choose detail. Okay. Now, to explain this, we talked about the various performing searches under modified data. We have if, we have between, we have later, earlier, which we did in the part 1. We did that in the part 1. Okay, we have whatever number or later, whatever number or earlier. We have and we have the wildcards such as include, begin, and end. All this we talked about in the part 1. Okay, so very important. Now they said the gender is F. So there are two ways to do this. You can use equals to F or just F, whichever one, right? And of course, this is for what? For ease. Take note, for ease, okay? So the gender is F. So for us to do this, we have to do this in a design view. We have to switch the view to what? The design view. And it's going to be a little bit different than what you've seen, right? Now, for computer science, we use what we call the SQL view. So we're not making of the SQL view, right? To run any code, we're just going to use the design view to run it for us, okay? So I'm going to close this. I really don't need it. I can just close it. So they said what? The gender right here is what? F. Now, this is the field. This is the table. This is sort. We're not sorting. This show simply means that if one check this, it's not going to show the field in our datasheet view. And this is what we do the criteria here. So criteria here is F. Okay, so just type in F or equals to F, whichever one is going to work. Remember, you're running them one at a time. Okay, looking at the question, you're running them one at a time. So I'm going to click on what? Run. Okay, so now we have 84 records. Okay, so we have 84 records. Now let's go back and let's run. We had the total number of records we had was what? 176. Good. So when we run it with our gender F, run, don't forget this folder your query design. We have what? 84 what? Records. So the next one is size is 80 or more. Okay. This simply means 80 or later. Okay. Now we use the mathematical representation for greater than equals to what? 80. Okay. 80 or more. If they say is what? More than 80, then if it's more than 80, it should be greater than what? 80. But if it's 80 or more, it's greater than equals to what? 80. If it's 80 or less, it's less than equals to what? 80. Take note of that. Okay, so size is 80 or more. So I'm going to switch to my design view for size 80 or more. So I have greater than, right? So that's shift with your angle bracket, and then equals to 80. So that means 80, 81, and above for science. And then I'm going to run it. So now at the end of the day, we have what? 49 records. Then the class code contains 6. Okay? The class code contains 6. Okay? So this simply means we're going to use the word include. Okay? So it contains 6. So it includes 6, it contains 6, it's just English language. Literally, it's just English language. Okay? So that simply means that we're going to use asterisk 6 asterisk. So it contains what? 6. So please take note. This is very, very important. Okay. So you don't make any errors. Knowing include 6, contains 6 is still the same thing. It's just English language, right? So I'm going to go to switch to my design view, class code. So I have asterisk 6 asterisk. Okay. And then I'm going to run it. So now I have 27 records. So if you check through, this is what they want. With a gender that is F across, size 80 and above, 80 and above, and then we have the class code that contains what? 6. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to close. So now that we have done our query, okay, it's time for us to create what? The report. For us to create the report, we use what we call the report wizard. Okay, now we can use the report wizard, we can use the report design to do it. Okay, we can use the report wizard, we can use the report design to do it. But this is the beginner's guide. And as we progress to the course, I will show you so many shortcuts. If two of us, of course, there will be times, like I said, when we're having tests in class, I would be joining you guys to the test. So I want to see who can beat my record, right? In a normal database, I can finish a database. A normal database question, I should be able to finish it in less than 30 minutes. In less than 30 minutes, I'm done with the database question. The full question in less than 30 minutes. Okay, presentation, 8 minutes, I'm done. Document production, 15, 16 minutes, I'm done with document production. So in less than 1 hour, I'm done with the full paper too. And this is something I've been doing in the course of my personal sessions, right? So this is to show you that if your teachers can do that in a very fast of time, you also can do that. So I'm just taking this course through the series from the beginner's guys to the expert level, where you can now begin to just do things that makes it very, very comfortable for you. Okay, so I have the report wizard. Okay, so I'm going to click on the report wizard. Just click here on the query. Good practice, click on the query, click on the report wizard. Okay, so now, since this is what they want, right? We have done the query already. Now we cannot go back to the question. Using field from all tables, produce a tabular report. Okay, so now that we have done the query, we're going to move everything from the query, because this is what they want, right? They want the report, but for you to do the report, you have to do the query. So now that we've done the query, we're just going to move everything to that report. Okay, so this is we're moving everything here to what the selected field. That's what we're doing. We're moving everything here to what the selected field. And then we can click on what? Next. Take note. Very important. They said in this order. So this now becomes what? A report. Because we need this, which is now the query, in this order with data labels displayed in full. We are not to group the data. So this simply means what? It's going to be what? An ungroup data. Ungroup data. That's what it means. So it simply means that this is a case study of what? Ungroup. This is group. This is group. This is ungroup. We don't need to group it. Please take note. Okay, so I'm going to click on next. Next. What are we sorting by? They said sort the data into ascending order of teacher's name, ascending order of teacher's name, okay, descending order of science. This is going to be descending order. Just click on it. So ascending order of teacher's name, descending order of science. Okay, next, what's our layout? Remember, the layout here is what? Produce what? A tabular. So report are tabular. Forms are columnar. Take note. Reports are tabular. Forms are columnar. Please take note. Okay, so don't switch to columnar. That's for forms. Reports are what? Tabular. Okay, so what's the orientation like? Has a page orientation of landscape. Okay, landscape. So we're going to change this to what? A landscape. Okay, please take note. This has to be checked because you have to adjust the feed weight. So all fields fit on a page. So when you adjust the orientation, the fields are automatically going to be adjusted with the orientation. Hope that makes sense. So if you put a portrait, it's going to adjust with portrait. If you put it to landscape, it's going to be adjusted with landscape. Next. Now, what is the title? Remember, the title of your query is the same title of your report, right? So right here, going to highlight this, copy. Then we can preview the report. Let's preview it. So I'll click on finish. Okay, so let's preview the report. Okay, so I'm seeing 2 pages here. Okay. So let's do this. So I'm going to switch to what? So this we call this view what? The print preview. That's what we call this view, the print preview. So we're going to switch to what? The layout view. We have report view, we have layout view, we have design view. We are doing a beginner's guide. So we're going to work with layout view. You can easily do this in the design view. Like it's so simple. When you get to the expert level, you do it in design view, it makes your own work so easy. Within 2-3 minutes, I'm done with design view. Okay. But since this is a beginner's guide, we're going to start with the layout view. So let's start with the layout view. So this is the layout view. I'm going to close the feed list. Okay. So usually I begin with include the title displayed in a larger font size, fully displayed at the top of the report. So this is the top of the report, right? So this is more or less where you have your report header. So this is your report header. Okay. This is what your page header. This right here is your page header. So I'm going to click here. Okay. On that format, I'm going to increase the font size, the larger font size. So let's say 24. Okay. I can bold it and then I can make it black. Okay. Very important. Okay. So we have this. Okay. So that's the first thing. So now, remember, we have to arrange them in this order. When we are doing the sorting, it scattered the order for us. The order was rearranged. So it's time for us to rearrange it back, right? It was not ordered, so we have to rearrange it back today. So we have family name, gender, teacher's name. Remember, we sorted it out with teacher. So teacher should be in the third column, not the first column. So I think we have, right? So it should be here. It should be after what? Gender. So teacher name should be here. Now, one way to do this, please be very careful, right? You have to click on the feed name, hold your control, and then click the report. Let me do that. Let me do that again. I'm going to click on the feed name, hold my control on my keyboard, then click the report. Okay. Now, I can adjust this together. So this simply means I've taken my hand off the control. So this simply means that if I reduce this, right? Watch this. The characters are also reducing. This is line 1, and the characters are reduced. You can reduce the character to like 13. I think 13 is fine. Okay. So now I can do this. There are 2 ways to do this. For beginner's guide, I'm going to use my arrow key on my keyboard. When you get to expert level, you can just drag, okay, and just put it there. So I can just use my arrow key here and move it. This is my arrow key here. I'm using my arrow key on my keyboard, arrow key right to move it. Okay. Now something is hovering over this. That's because the gender is hovering over there. So what I will do is, let me just undo it. So what I will do is this. Look, can you see this? It's hovering this. So I just need to move this here. So that means I'll come here, hold my control, click here to select both of them, both the feed name and the records, and then move them to, let's say, 9. Okay, move them 7. And then hold my control, select this, and then move this. This can be very, very stressful if you don't follow the instructions, because you end up having so many errors. Okay. So the next one is what? So family name is first, then gender. So I have family name and then gender. So I'm going to hold my control, select this again, and then move this. Okay. So I have this. So what I'll do is that I'll select the first one, hold my control, select the record, select the feed name. I'm still holding my control, select this, and I can just move 2 of them like this. Move, okay, let me do this. Because this is not, let me leave it here. So it doesn't cover this. So I have the family, hold my control, select this, and then move this here. Okay. For gender, hold my control, move this here. I think we are playing a game, literally. So you have your family, gender, teacher's name is the next one. So this is for science. Hold my control, select this. You have to select both of them together. Please take note. Teacher's name, hold my control, select this, and move this here. Okay. And then signs. So I'll select the feed name, then hold my control, select the first record. It's going to select everything at default for you. Another way to move it, you can move it like this. There are so many ways to move it. You can move it like this. So I can just use my left align. Please ensure all of them are in the same alignment. Okay, they're the same alignment. Very important. The next one is what? Size, math. Math. So I'm over here. This is computer science. Okay, so you adjust it. You can see when the cursor changes to this is where you can adjust it. Okay, and of course the same alignment. So if you click on the first one, it's going to move the feed name into the first alignment. Then you click on the alignment again, and it's going to do that for the record. And then you can move this. The next one is what? Design technology. Again, hold my control, select this, and then I want to adjust the same thing, all of them to be the same character. Okay. Please, they should be in the same alignment. Okay. What else? House name. Hold my control, select this. The first record, you select everything else, then adjust it. When the cursor changes to this arrow, to this right here, it means you need to adjust it. It's for adjusting. Okay. So while it's selected, I can use my arrow key to move it. Then that's for the house name. Class code. Class code. Hold my control. Adjust this. Okay, as much as possible. So now that we have done all this, now there's something we need to do. They said fit on a single page wide. I want to explain what this means. Fit on a single page wide simply means that all the fields should be on a single page. It shouldn't be cut off to another page. Please avoid it. Okay? It shouldn't be cut off to what? Another page. So please, let's avoid it. Now to do this, I think I can just do this. Okay. Now this is a navigation pane, so I can just put this one side, right? So this simply means that for us to do this, I'm going to adjust this a little bit to give spacing to ensure nothing is cut off. So I'm going to hold my control to select this. Then I'm using my arrow key to do this. Okay. Select the feed name, hold my control, select the record. Okay. Select the feed name, hold my control, select the records. Okay. Move this. Select the feed name, then move this. Nope, undo. Please be very careful. That's what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, they need to have the same width. Okay, I think I can just move it just to give enough space for this. Okay. Okay, that's fine. For the mats, I'm going to put them in the same alignment. Yes, I can give space for the mat as well, and then I can move it. Signs, can move this as well. Teacher name. Let's go down. Actually, is anything being cut off? I want to give enough proper spacing. Select, I'm holding my control to do this. Okay. So now let's go to the print preview. Let's see how our work is going to look like when it's going to be printed. It's important that nothing is being cut off. Okay, so nothing is cut off. It's important to always check that nothing is being cut off. Okay, so I think this is fine. So that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go to my layout view. Then the next one is this. Display your name, center number, candidate number in the footer, so it appears in the same position on every page. Now, we have what we call a page footer and a report footer. Make sure no other data is displayed in the footer. Good. So I'm going to switch this to what? The design view. So let's go to design view. So I'll switch this to the word design view. Now, in design view, I said that we have the report header. Now, in the report header, this will only appear only on the first page. But in the page header, it will appear on every page. Okay? Why for, these are the details, that is the records. Okay? Why for your page footer is going to appear in the bottom of every page. Then your report footer will only appear at the last page. Okay? We appear at what? The last page. Very, very important. Okay? So now, they said it should appear what? It should appear in the footer, so it appears in the same position on every page. So it's going to appear on what? The page footer. And they said what? No other data is displayed in the footer. So this and this should not be there. Your date and the numbers of pages, right? Your date and number of pages should not be what? There. So I'm going to click here and hit on delete. Click here, hit on delete. Now I'm going to go here. Now these controls, we're going to make it of one controls, and I'm going to use the labels. The labels is where you can type in anything, instructions, your candidate details, etc., right? So I'm going to click on labels, and I'm going to draw it. Click on labels that has the uppercase and lowercase, and I'm going to draw it, and then I can type in my details. Child ND, comma space, AN 017, comma space, and then 0001. Okay, so you can just use your school candidate number, okay, and then you can use that. So this is your name, comma space, your school candidate number, comma space, and then your candidate what number. Very important. So right here, I'll click here, right? And once I click here, I'm going to go to format. I can make it middle. I can make it bold. I can make it black, right? The font here, font color to be black. And I can increase the font size to, let's say, 14. Now, if you increase the font size to 14, you have to adjust it so that everything will be shown. Like this is cut off, and that means your examiner cannot see it. So I'm going to adjust this here a bit. Okay, and then I'm going to use my Alt key and just make it centralized. They didn't tell us the alignment it should be. They said it should be in the footer so it appears in the same position on every page. Okay, so that's fine. So we've done this. I'm missing something. So I'm going to switch this to my report, to my print preview. I'm going to take it to my print preview. So this is appearing in the same position. Can you see that? It's appearing in the same position. Okay, I'm going to go to layout view. I'm missing something. And this is what I'm missing. So it's always important to always go through. Okay, if possible, this is what I want you to do. When it comes to this kind of question, always tick the ones you've done. Okay, always tick the ones you've done. So this is done. This is done. Sort the data into ascending order of this is done. Then we have to calculate. Okay, so let's calculate. We have to calculate the numbers of students and place this at the end of the report. Right? Have the label new science, group size, numbers of students. To calculate the number of students here, I'm going to just use science. Right? So I'll click here Then go to what? Report layout design. Under here, numbers of students is what? Sum. Sorry, numbers of students. Numbers of students, we're going to count the records. So numbers of students are going to count the records. Okay. So count the records. Let's go to my design view. Yes, I'm going to count the records that we have. Yes. So numbers of records we have is what? 27. Right? All I did was I click here under this and I'll count the records. Okay. I'm going to count the records. So now I have this 27. Then the next thing is what? Have the label new group size. So I'm going to do this in my design view. I'm going to copy this, and do this in my what? Design view. So I'm going to switch to my design view and I'm going to paste this here. So under my report design, labels is going to be in the left, and I'll paste this. I can make it bold, format, bold, black, and I can adjust this a bit. So this can be seen. All right, so if I switch to, I can also make this bold as well. So if I switch to my layout view, I can have this, right? Bring this here, move this here. I can change the alignment to right. So this is now going to be left of this. Okay, so this is going to be left of this because they said what? Calculate the numbers of students. That's your counting to know the numbers of students that is taking this particular what exercise. This class could, right? They are taking this. So now we have the label here, new science group size. To the left, fully visible to the left of this value. So we have it left of this value. I'm going to save.